Hello, welcome back to another brand new FLOLiO video. And this video, I will be talking about Wolf Game. Long-awaited video for me to be talking about, especially after saying so many positive things about the game, about the team. I still stand behind those things I said about the team. Like I never said anything about the game, of course. We were all waiting for that to drop, and it did. It dropped, dare I say, maybe 4 days ago, 5 days ago, I think. Oh, no, actually, it's longer. It's been like a week, I think. Maybe on like the 20th I dropped. I forgot. It's been some time since I sold. Now, what I want to talk about is a few things. So, first of all, the things that I want to talk about is one, it is the game itself. Two, it's the psychological part of holding an asset. I've held Wolf Game for over a year, and always was looking forward to the game, to playing it, to do stuff with it. So, like I've been part of the community for a long time, had over around 10,000 messages in the Discord, so I was heavily participating in conversations, helping new people, all that kind of stuff. And I ended up selling everything after a year of waiting for the full game, and then sell it in I think the day after full game. But there's a reason, right? I don't do this for no reason, and I want to talk to you about that today. Why I did that, and maybe there's something you can learn from this. It's important to not get too hooked on your asset, too addicted to the asset that you're holding. To not see things with like rose tinted glasses. So, moving on. Moving on. Here is the Twitter thread that I posted on December 23rd. So I'll do a little read through. So I said, I sold all of my Wolf Game assets a few days ago. Nothing but positive words for the team, but there were some key things that had to happen for me to remain bullish. Then I noted down two things in my head. I think at the time of writing, I had some more things in mind, but I ended up keeping it simple. Play to earn games have to be fun. Now, they don't have to be fun. People find profits fun, right? People find profits enjoyable. People find making money enjoyable. Just like how people enjoy winning games. They might not really enjoy playing games, but they do enjoy the part of the game where they win. That's possible. That's possible with play to earn, but it's gotta be fun, right? Like we're not talking about winning thousands of dollars. We're talking about winning $10, $20 here and there in these games. They are not at that scale yet where high-end players make millions and millions of dollars, and low-end play like the thing is with play to earn is not everyone can win. With Wolf Game, what I like is that there's people that lose money in the game because it's a game of risk, it's a game of chance. Not everyone can win, and that's good. But it's gotta be fun, I think. Wolf Game has to be fun, and it's not. It is basically like a staking game at this point, except there's no staking. For small holders, it's extremely boring. I was one of those people that was a small holder. I had my bag was like very misaligned. I had the majority of my liquid, or I had the majority of my investment in their token Wool, and you basically couldn't do much with it in game. For now, right? Like they're gonna change this moving on. Well, they're gonna change this in the future because they highlighted a few times that the game is meant to last, right? The game is meant to last like a year or 4, right? And then we'll see. This isn't because if they want, they can juice that wool burn up insta. They can like do all kinds of events, do all kinds of stuff that incentivizes burning, or like using the wool, which then gets burned a percentage. But they're not, right? They want this to be like a slow burn to build like a healthy economy, which is understandable, right? I understand. But I'm not gonna sit around and wait for a year before this becomes something healthy, right? Right now, for the last week, a lot of people have sold their stuff. We've seen prices across the board drop like pretty insanely. I sold my wool at 3.4 cents right now, and it touched 1 point something cent earlier today. It's currently at 2 cents though, which is pretty decent. But still, it is too risky for me to be holding these assets now. There isn't anything I can get right now for holding. And carrying on from what I was mentioning earlier before I got sidetracked by my busy brain, small holders like me, I had a lot of wool, but I couldn't use it right. So you can completely ignore wool from your holdings right now. It doesn't matter. I held a few sheep, a few farmers, a few land parcels, and some structures. I had 2 structures, but I sold one for actually an absurd amount of money. 3.5 when the floor was like 3, and then now it's 2. So I sold it above floor, luckily. I'm sidetracking again. I apologize. I had the structure. So what you can do as a structure holder is you could burn a sheep, get chops, which like if you kill a sheep, you get chops, right? Like the meat. You can sell that meat for resources to then build a structure like a barn, or I don't know what it's called, like a bathhouse or something. I forgot the official name. And you can rent that out to other players, but it's going to be locked up for a long time. They do have to pay wool as an entry fee, but I didn't find that worth, right? I just decided to sell it. So I sold it for 3.5 and for 3 ETH. And that's more than I could have gotten as a fee. So, like, yeah, could I have earned a decent amount of money in like a year? Yeah, but I mean, that 3 ETH is much better spent somewhere else for short-term gains, I suppose. Again, back to my point, it's too risky for me to hold it right now. Chances of it dropping were just too high. So with a structure out of the equation, you're left with farmers, sheep, and land. So land is passive income. We knew this. So there's nothing you can do with land. You have to claim your taxes every week, which is whatever, boring, right? It's just claiming taxes. It's sheep, and you can assign them to like an asset, a resource to mine or like chop or like get some water. And that's it as well. You can't do anything else. The only part of playing a game is there's like an option menu whenever a wolf tries to take your resources. They can do this once every 24 hours. There's like a little game, and you have options, and that's the only part where game theory comes in. For example, there's this game where you have to select a number from 1 through 9, and then the wolf can select the numbers, and he obviously cannot see your number. If the combined number is over 10, then you lose and you get nothing. And the wolf gets like 15% or something of your resources. But if it's under 10, and let's say you have a 6 and the wolf has a 4, then you get 60% and he gets 40%, if you know what I mean. So it's like the 6 and the 4 is like percentages, essentially. And that's fun. I thought about it for like a good 30 minutes. Like, how do I want to approach this? And I ended up with like a strategy that I was pretty happy with. And one day later, I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. It's just too risky. I woke up middle of the night. I was like, I have to sell this stuff. That's the only part that's really like a game. That's it. And then land kind of sits there being land, doing nothing. Sheep just kind of sits there mining stuff. You're just getting robbed by wolves. Like, you kind of have to live with just getting target farmed. Now there's a website where people can keep track of the highest like carrying sheep on the entire game. So you happen to have a lot of resources. Oh well, you're gonna get targeted anyway because the wolves is gonna use the website and they can see where you are. So you're just gonna get. So right now at the state of the game is you have number 1 resources. There's gonna be a wolf that is gonna harvest you. All right. Right? Like, okay. I suppose like now the game becomes, oh, like dodge the wolf and claim the resources immediately before the wolf the wolves like steal your stuff. And like it is called wolf game, right? Wolf holders are gonna say it is called wolf game for a reason, but with the current stuff in the game, you cannot even trade resources for wool yet. So it's not even like a play to earn. There's nothing to earn yet, right? You can trade resources for wool eventually, but I think it's gonna be a while. Like I don't see it happening soon. So we have all that stuff. We have farmers, and they can like boost your sheep's earnings for harvesting. They can protect your sheep so you cannot get stolen from, and they can grant like an immediate bonus to resources. Like depending on the rarity, it's like 200 to certain resource, 300 to a certain resource, which is like a day's worth of farming, like 2 days worth of farming. So it's actually pretty good. A lot of people's opinion were that farmers were pretty strong actually compared to other assets. So that's the game. I just explained to you the entire game right now in like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and that's bad. So going back to this, onboarding new users. Sorry, I can't speak, man. I'm Dutch. Okay, give me a break. Onboarding new users should be easy. That's wrong. Yeah. So when I say that, what I mean is, at the time that the game went live, a starter pack, what people call this a starter pack, so like a sheep, a farmer, a land, some wool, that kind of stuff. It was like 10 ETH, man. No one's gonna do that. There's gonna be like 2 or 3 people that are gonna be like crazy enough to be like, oh, it's a new game. Oh yeah, I'm gonna drop 10 ETH on this to get myself a little starter pack. And you know what's gonna happen? They're gonna go to their one farm. They're gonna put one sheep on it. They're gonna boost their resources with their farmer, and they're gonna be like, that's the game. Like, is that it? Okay. So it is not like, for the game to be good with onboarding people, it needs to be as a cheap entry, and we're not gonna see a cheap entry for another 3 or 4 months. So generation 2 wolves and sheep, roughly, are gonna be on the market in around 3 months. So that's gonna be a cheaper entry, right? Like, but it's gonna take 3 more months, right? Like, it's gonna take so long. So why would I still hold now when all the cheap assets and the onboarding new users is gonna happen in 3 months from now? Like, I'll just wait 3 months. So I sold everything for like 30 ETH. I'll rebuy like in 2 months or something, in 3 months, when the new assets are gonna hit the market. And then maybe new people are gonna join, and maybe the game is better and more engaging and more fun at that point. Sorry to go on a little bit of a tangent. So, and then I said, much love to the community. Loved hanging out in the Discord for over a year. Had nearly 10,000 messages. But I suppose the journey was more fun than the destination. Like I mentioned earlier, I got a lot of enjoyment out of talking to people, speculating with people about the game, following the shepherds, as like the founder of the games, like breadcrumbs, because they dropped like these gifs with like hints in it, right? Like, oh, look, the sheep are able to like get water and stuff, you know. Like, it was much more like nuanced than that, but it was very enjoyable. And then I said, the game is under constant development and will be improved upon, probably every week, every single week, I'm sure. So what I think is that the game is gonna get better, but a week ago, right? Like I saw it a week ago, I was like, it's not gonna get better right now. It's gonna take time. No one is patient in this space. Everyone wants money now. So, like, you know what a lot of people say? They say, oh, if a lot of people are zigging, you should be zagging, right? Well, if a lot of people are gonna zig, I'll zig first. You know, like, I'll be ahead of the rest. I'm not gonna zag and lose money. If that makes any sense. So, you know, I zigged, and the rest zigged as well. But I zigged first, or well, not first. I zigged quite late. but I zigged early enough that a lot of people were zigging after me. Okay, this is becoming a very, very complicated and difficult analogy to follow, and I'm fully aware of that, but it is funny. So, um, so the game's gonna get better every single week. But at this moment, it's too much risk for me to hold these assets for months and months until the game is more fun and easier to onboard people. Starter pack would cost you around 5 to 10 ETH, and you're still playing extremely passively. The only way to actively participate in the game is to have a wolf. These wolves were selling. The cheapest wolf was around 7 to 8 ETH. On the higher end, it was jumping up in like 4 ETH increments. So it would be like 7 ETH, 8 ETH, so 8 ETH for like a generation 0 alpha 5 wolf. And then 6 it was like becoming like 12-ish. 7 it would be like 20-ish. And the 8s would be like 100 ETH, right? That's a lot of money for someone to just drop in. There's no real way to onboard people like that. Another issue, and what they're aware of, is you're able to exhaust assets and immediately list them on secondary. A fix could have been to stake all assets to play, and you're unable to unstake if an asset is under cooldown. And this is a really big point. You don't require staking. The team's reasoning behind this is because you don't have to stake, it is easier. It's like it's easier for people to play. There's less resistance for people to engage with the game, which is a fair point. It is easier to play if you don't have to like stake assets and stuff. But as a counterpoint, they found their way through MetaMask. They found the way to deposit fiat and change it to ETH, which is pretty difficult, I guess. Like it requires a lot of like finicky stuff if you use Coinbase and stuff. And then transfer it over to MetaMask, and then go to OpenSea and buy an asset through OpenSea, and then find their way through Discord and stuff, right? Like at this point, you can assume that they're not like tech unsavvy, right? Like they must be kind of decent, so they must know what staking means. And if not, I guess it's time to learn. But still, staking isn't necessarily a requirement. I agree. But in this case, it is, because remember how I said onboarding is going to be easier in 3 months? It's going to be very hard in a few weeks and like a month or something, like a month or two. And why, you ask? Oh, well, it is because when your assets are fully drained of energy and you don't care for putting them through like another player's bathhouse and wait for 3 months for them to recharge energy, you can just sell them on the secondary, and no one's gonna do anything about it. It is almost like you're buying like a flagged asset. So, say you're a new person, right? You come to Wolfgame in a month from now, and you're hearing some pretty cool stories like, oh, the game is fun and so enjoyable, and wow, make so much money. And then you're like, all right, I'll buy a sheep. It's time to play. Or even worse, right? You buy a wolf. You're like, all right, gloves are off. Spend 5 ETH in this thing. Time to rob some sheep, sell some assets. Sell some resources. I'm gonna go crazy. Well, guess what? You just bought a wolf with 0 energy. Oops. And the people are gonna blame you for it. They're gonna say it's your fault for. They're gonna say it's your fault for buying that asset and not checking it on a tool. So what you have to do is then find another player that owns a bathhouse, and he's gonna tell you it's gonna be 50,000 wool for you to recharge your wolf. Come back in 3 months. It's 100% energy. You can do your thing. That's not gonna happen. That is not gonna happen. No new player is gonna be like, I agree with this and I accept this. No, immediately relist. Immediately. It's gonna take them 5 minutes to relist that shit on OpenSea, and they'll be on with their day. So their solution to this is saying, we're gonna include a checker in our game. So they expect new players that haven't yet engaged with the game to go in the game and then before buying an asset, type in the ID of the asset to check whether or not it is currently performing an action and or out of energy. Do you see the issue? Because do you know how most people buy an asset? They go to OpenSea and they press buy. There's not a whole lot of people that are actually going to research. Because, to add on to this, people do research stuff. A lot of people do check Discords before doing anything. But to find out that there's such a thing as like energy and energy levels and assets being able to be listed while they have no energy, you cannot find this. This is not something you can find this in their wallpaper that's like yay long, and then still you're aware of energy levels, but it's very hard to come to the like realization that the asset that you're buying might not have energy. That's very hard to accomplish. That's like a mental thought thing. So the only way for new people to find out is if they go to the Discord or Twitter and they ask, can I buy this asset? Can I buy sheep? And people are going to say, yeah, you can buy sheep. And if you're lucky, there's going to be someone that used to be me. I stopped because, I sold my shit. I used to be, yeah, you can buy these assets, but be careful that you're not buying one without energy. So you have to hope that there's someone that's willing to spend time of their day to educate you. And the majority of people, they don't care. They just want you to buy the assets, Pump our bags, pump our floor. So that's an issue. And I propose, if you're able to stake an asset to play the game, and then you're not able to unstake the asset if there's a cooldown or they're out of energy or whatever, then it's fixed. And they said, well, we can't do that. I think that we need to deploy a new contract for that, so we're gonna include a checker in our game. So this is something that's currently not a huge issue, at least for animals. This is currently an issue for farmers. So remember how I told you that farmers were able to protect an animal, increase yield, or give instant yield, right? There is a fat cooldown on doing that. I think it's also months. Like everything in this game is months and months. You're able to buy a farmer, pop that cooldown immediately, like give like instant yield, and then resell it. The entire floor on OpenSea is assets that are already on cooldown. So as a new player right now, whenever you buy a farmer from the floor, it is already on cooldown, so you cannot even use it. So picture this in months, or like I don't know how long it takes, like weeks or months, for these animals to also be out of energy. It's going to be the same thing there, and this is going to be even worse because wolves are 5+ ETH assets, right? So that's not cheap, and people that buy that have conviction. New players don't have conviction yet, and they'll never be able to get it because they're buying an asset that's on cooldown for like a month or something. So, end of that rant, right? Blah blah blah. Exhaust assets. I just talked about that. The side effect of being able to exhaust and list assets is that floors are extremely contaminated with used assets. People generally don't want to buy assets that have a huge cooldown on them or wolves without energy. This affects buying pressure a lot. And it does. It does. So what I mean with this, I had like a 10-year tangent talking about this just now. But what I mean with this affects buying pressure is if people are aware of this, well, to be fair, no one's ever, like not everyone's ever going to be aware of this. But if there's this amount of uncertainty in the market that they don't know, oh, can I buy this? Can I buy that? Is this correct? Or having to rely on like a third-party tool, then people aren't going to buy or like buy less, right? The team is aware of this issue, but the only realistic way to solve this short term is a checker, or where you input token ID and it'll tell you the energy levels, cooldown, etc. But I don't know what's on or off chain, so it might be difficult. So they are planning to on doing this, as I just said. But but the keywords here is short term. In weeks from now, this is gonna be extremely messed up and gonna ruin, and it's gonna like ruin everything. So either way, I always keep my eye on Wolf Game. Will always see if there's a possible re-entry for me. Much love to the great community ambassadors and friends I've made in the Discord. Hope to return one day. Extremely bullish and all. And I do stand by that. Like I am always looking for a re-entry, but not right now. Like I just said there, I can see this crumble in weeks and or months. If Wolf Game is looking decent in like 3 months with Generation 2 assets, I might re-entry. I hope the game is better then. And just as a showcase, here are the prices currently. So this is wools is at around 2 cents. Farmers are way down. Wolves are tremendously down, like tremendously down. Sheep are down a little bit, not too much, honestly. Farms, like lands, are down a little bit. They were 0.4 ish. Structures are down a lot. They were around 3.5. Community 0. I mean, 6 is still a really good floor for that asset, so I can't really complain. And then this little peak here at December 22, where it hit 4.5 cents. This is when I'll actually go back a little bit more. So this peak where it hit 6.2 was when I believe the first wallpaper dropped. So the first part of the white paper dropped. I think it was, and then it went all the way down to 4 cents, which is fine. You just saw like a huge bump from like 5 to 6, retrace to 4. That's fine, right? And it built up a little bit more to 4.6, blah blah blah. Oh, another dump. It's like, no, why are people dumping? Oh, back up again. We're chilling. And then on December 22, wallpaper 2 dropped. So it introduced like mechanics, right? And went from 4.4 immediately to 3.2. And back up to 3.7 and to 2.4. And I think this is when I sold. Yeah, 23. So I sold here at 22, and I sold around, I guess like around here somewhere. Because I was like, I don't see this happening. And then within a day, it went under 2 cents, and now it's bouncing up and down between 2 and a bit, and then around under 2, and this is where we are currently. The price of wool with under 2 earlier. Now it's kind of like up and down there. But yeah, that's my half an hour tangent on Wolf Game. Still, I want to highlight that developer of the game seems incredibly smart. I always say this. Seems like a very, very talented and smart, bright individual or team. We assume it's a team. But right now, for me, it is too passive. So it's almost like I'm staking the assets. It's kind of like boring. I suppose their aimed audience isn't gamers, because I am a gamer, as you can say. Feels very weird to say I'm a gamer. I think everyone is at this point. It feels like, which is good, of course. But yeah, it's just more of like a very passive thing if you don't have the top assets. But yeah, we'll be looking for a re-entry in like 2 or 3 months. See how it's doing. Right now, uncertain about the future. But as always, I'll keep you up to date on everything Wolf Game. EA, it's not. I'm not only footing, right? You guys should know I'm not only footing. I'm out here speaking my truth and my experiences with the game. So please don't attack me. I beg you. I have a family. I don't, but maybe in the future. So thanks for watching. I will be back with JWeb on Friday, talk about the overall market. And I think JWeb's gonna do a video on Thursday talking about the crypto markets and the overall global economics. So as always, check out their website, FLOLiO.com. It's amazing. Links in the bottom right. Check out my Twitter as well, where I post nonsense and sometimes videos. So thank you, and see you on Friday. Bye-bye.